Hello, my name is Lucas, this is A Bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein, which was written in the 1950s, I believe 1959, and I chose this book for New World's November. And I actually read it quite a while ago. I just haven't been up to making videos, and the last time I did, this little microphone that I have on me died in the middle of the video. Starship Troopers is an interesting book, to say the least. I'm going to say the positives first, and then I'm going to laugh about the rest of the book, which is actually most of the book. The positives are that it's actually kind of cool and really well thought out, I think. Cool in the sense that there's this like power armor idea, which I guess at the time would have been very new. And there is a sense, whenever I read Robert Heinlein's work, of a very sort of creative mind that really is trying to consider all the possibilities of the future, and so it is sort of enthralling in that way to read. But yeah, the book is just like grotesquely fascist to the point that it is abundantly clear why it was made into a movie that is a parody of all of the kind of rhetoric that this novel has, which is just full of the worst blood and soil, might is right, expand or die kind of disgusting nonsense. I love this novel. It is so funny to read because it's so serious. I guess I shouldn't enjoy it for that reason, but it is just so comically ridiculous. Like, everyone reads like a kind of cartoon caricature of a fascist, and they are totally serious, unlike in the movie, where, yeah, they are serious, but it's very clearly played for laughs. This is absolutely not, which is actually even funnier to me. Let me explain the story a little. We follow a young man, Johnny Rico. First things first, we see him in a battle that goes horribly wrong for the humans, who are at war because there's some communist insects out in space that, want the same territory as the human race. And it's either expand or die, basically, and might is right, and blood and soil and all that kind of thing. And the main character is Johnny Rico, and he joins the infantrymen, and he's very proud of that and interested in it. And most of the book is actually just kind of explaining what, like, it's kind of like a journal or a diary of sorts. And it's just kind of like a day in the life of a fresh recruit turned seasoned veteran, to become a citizen in this government system. You must serve a term with the military, which is at least 2 years, but if they need you for longer, then you have to continue serving. And yeah, it's a lot of his training and sort of the events of the war as they're progressing. Near the end, you see a little bit more action, but most of the book is just all the things he learned and the way that his mind is shaping to conform to what is expected of him. And it's pretty gross, but it's just so funny because there's so many of these parts where he remembers a teacher of his who was in the service, and yeah, you can only teach, I forgot what it's called, morals and ethics or something like that, political morals and ethics or something. And I just want to read one part that just cracks me up. Among many, it's really just comical. It's even funnier than the movie. I don't know if I said that. The movie is a masterpiece, but it's not nearly as funny as this very serious book. So he's getting a lesson on value. And, oh my God, I lost the page. 1 second. He's getting a lesson on value, and if you can't listen, perhaps you can tell the class whether value is a relative or an absolute. I had been listening. I just didn't see any reason not to listen with my eyes closed and spine relaxed. But his question caught me out. I hadn't read that day's assignment. An absolute, I answered, guessing. Wrong, he said coldly. Value has no meaning other than in relation to living beings. The value of a thing is always relative to a particular person. It's completely personal and different in quantity for each living human. Market value is a fiction, merely a rough guess at the average of personal values, all of which must be quantitatively different or trade would be impossible. If I had wondered what father would have said if he had heard market value called a fiction, snort in disgust, probably. Which, by the way, Johnny Rico's father was a wealthy businessman, didn't want his son to join the military, but he decides to anyway. This very personal relationship, value, has two factors for a human being. First, what he can do with a thing, its use to him. And second, what he must do to get it, its cost to him. There is an old song which asserts that the best things in life are free. Not true, utterly false. This was the tragic fallacy which brought on the decadence and collapse of the democracies of the 20th century. Those noble experiments failed because the people had been led to believe that they could simply vote for whatever they wanted and get it without toil, without sweat, without tears. Nothing of value is free. Even the breath of life is purchased at birth only through gasping effort and pain. He had been still looking at me and added, if you boys and girls had to sweat for your toys the way a newly born baby has to struggle to live, you would be happier and much richer. As it is, with some of you, I pity the poverty of your wealth. I've just awarded you the prize for the 100-meter dash. Does it make you happy? I suppose it would. No dodging, please. You have the prize. Here, I'll write it out. Grand prize for the championship, 100-meter sprint. He had actually come back to my seat and pinned it on my chest. There, are you happy? You value it, or don't you? Anyway, the idea is that he wouldn't value it because it was just given to him, but if he got 4th place and got something or just like a congratulations, he would take a lot more pride in that. There's this other part that's also really funny, where he's talking about how getting things for free, just ruins the concept of value. And this is a little bit before. He had been droning on along about value, comparing the Marxist theory with the orthodox use theory. Mr. Dubois had said, of course, the Marxian definition of value is ridiculous. All the work one cares to add will not turn a mud pie into an apple tart. It remains a mud pie. Value, zero. By corollary, unskillful work can easily subtract value. An untalented cook can turn wholesome dough and fresh green apples, valuable already, into an inedible mess. Value, zero. Conversely, a great chef can fashion of those same materials a confection of greater value than a commonplace apple tart, with no more effort than an ordinary cook uses to prepare an ordinary sweet. I personally feel that this argument, value, zero, but it has a lot of these kinds of fascinating sort of lectures sprinkled throughout. In some ways, it's actually really boring, though. About 2/3 of the way, that's about when the war starts, I think. It's just like kind of redundant. There's no new, fresh horrors to be utterly shocked by and amused by, as if any of what happens in this book is a good thing, or the way that the military works is a good thing, which, at least from reading it, seems like Robert Heinlein was definitely down with that. And that's kind of creepy and gross. But yeah, in some ways, I kind of think like, I think it's Toni Morrison who said that evil is boring because it's predictable. And that's kind of how I felt about this and fascism. It's very predictable, it's boring, and yeah, just no good. And that's kind of how I feel about Starship Troopers, but it's just really funny to read. I would never read it again. I would not recommend it to anyone, but I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And I will just stick to the movie, which is phenomenal. Thank you.